NBC6 News Today at 6:30 starts now.
You're taking a live look at Trump Tower in New York City, where former President Donald Trump is expected to make the short drive from here to the courthouse.
In fact, in a matter of hours, Donald Trump expected to make history when he becomes the first former president to face criminal charges when he goes before a judge for his alleged role in a hush money scheme and cover-up involving former adult film star just ahead of the 2016 election.
Well, right now that indictment is under seal, but we'll know how serious the accusations are when he faces a judge.
Team coverage for you this morning from New York and right here in South Florida, where the president left from yesterday. We start with NBC News' Gabe Gutierrez. He is live in New York City this morning with the latest on what we're expecting to see and hear happening today, Gabe.
Kristen, good morning. Yes, as you said, in just a few hours, former President Trump will make that drive from Trump Tower, about 4 miles north of where I am right now in Midtown Manhattan, down here to Lower Manhattan. And behind me is that courthouse where the former president will be arraigned. As you can see behind me, there is already a heavy security presence here. There are steel barricades, plenty of police officers, tens of thousands of NYPD officers are on alert after a series of threats over the past several weeks against the district attorney. There is also a protest scheduled here for later this morning. Now, we expect the former president to make this drive down here in Lower Manhattan sometime between 10 a.m. and noon or so, and then a 2:15 p.m. Eastern time arraignment here at this courthouse. Now, overnight, a judge ruled on a media organization request to have cameras inside the courtroom. The judge denied video cameras inside the courtroom, but did allow for a few still cameras to take still pictures right before the proceedings very briefly. Now, no electronic devices will be permitted to be used, so it will take some time to get information from the courtroom once that arraignment is underway. But these proceedings are expected to be very short, essentially 5 to 10 minutes, and we expect former President Trump to enter a plea of not guilty. Afterwards, he is expected then to fly back to South Florida and deliver remarks tonight from Mar-a-Lago. Back to you.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, and we've heard from Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. He wants calm. He wants the protesters to respect the city. We see the stanchions set up behind you. Do they have separate areas set up for the supporters and for the protesters to try and keep them apart?
Well, there is a protest scheduled for 10:30 this morning, headlined by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. And in his remarks yesterday, as you mentioned, Mayor Eric Adams called out Taylor Greene specifically, saying that any, quote, rabble-rousers should control themselves as they protest the indictment of the former president, this unprecedented former indictment. Again, so far we have not seen major crowds materialize here. The crowds have actually been smaller here than they have been as the former president left his Mar-a-Lago estate yesterday, perhaps not surprisingly, but it is unclear exactly how big the crowd will be today. Still, the NYPD on very high alert for the possibility of any of those protests.
We'll wait and see how that works out. Gabe Gutierrez live in New York City for us this morning.
And our team coverage continues with NBC6's Lorena Inclán. Now, Lorena, prominent Florida lawmakers are coming to Trump's defense this morning.
Well, Kristen, we've heard from Governor Ron DeSantis already, and now we're also hearing from Senator Marco Rubio. Meanwhile, over in New York City, cameras did capture the former president arriving Monday. And during this afternoon's arraignment, Donald Trump and the country will learn the exact charges that he's going to face. Trump allies claim that he's being targeted. Here's what Senator Rubio and Governor DeSantis, who's expected to run against Trump for the GOP nomination, had to say about this.
We're talking about a prosecutor who, before he was elected, promised to indict Donald Trump.
He doesn't want to charge people with felonies. So now he turns around purely for political purposes and indicts a former president on misdemeanor offenses that they're straining to try to convert into felonies. That is when you know that the law has been weaponized for political purposes.
Now, the former president's arraignment hearing is set for 2:15 this afternoon in New York City. Cameras will be allowed in the hallways, but not inside the courtroom. The judge will allow cell phones and laptops inside, but they will not be able to use them. And still photos can be taken until those proceedings begin. We're live in the studio. I'm Lorena Inclán, NBC6 News.
Well, coming up, a live report from New York City where former President Trump is set to face a judge. We're going to have the very latest for you on the Today Show.
6:35 is your time. Let's take a live look outside. All is quiet right now across downtown Miami. But look at the thermostat here. It's already starting to warm up. It's been hot lately across South Florida.
Very, very hot outside. 77 degrees right now, only to warm up from here on out. Chelsea's here in the studio this morning. I will say, though, the afternoons have been really nice. A little bit of a breeze, but definitely not the mornings and during the midst of the day.
Yeah, that humidity is just really not letting us cool off too much, but the sea breeze is kind of helping keep our temperatures down just a bit. So a little push and pull with that forecast from start to finish. But this morning, this is as low as our temperatures have gotten. We have Pompano Beach only fell to 78 degrees so far. Fort Lauderdale, Miami, 77. And where the calmer winds are farther inland and in places like Homestead, 71 degrees. Now, current temperatures are slowly starting to warm up. We're back to 74 in Opa-locka, Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach at 78. But overall, because of that sea breeze, which is keeping us on the more comfortable side, we will be dodging a few inland showers over the next few days. And I'll break down, show you more of this forecast in the extended outlook.
All right, Chelsea, thank you. We want to get back to the breaking news out of Hialeah that we're watching for you. There is an active police investigation happening right in the area of 16th Avenue and 68th Street.
NBC6's Yvette Lewis just got to the scene. Now, Yvette, we checked in with you at the beginning of the 6 o'clock hour. What has changed within the last 30 minutes? I see there's still a lot of activity behind you.
Yeah, this is a very active scene. Good morning to you guys. We have been here on scene for like the past 2 hours, and I can tell you over the past few minutes, police have been moving that yellow tape back, opening up part of the street. We're still waiting for confirmation from the Hialeah police. They seem to be focusing the investigation on that White House with bricks. An officer has been standing around the entrance door, blocking the access inside the home. Preliminary reports indicate that it was a fatal stabbing. It apparently happened around 3 this morning. This is on 63rd Street and 16th Avenue in West Hialeah. So if you are heading out this morning, if you live or work around this area, this is what you'll find. The motive that led to the stabbing is unknown at this time. Police have not yet released any information on a suspect. Again, we are waiting for more information on this ongoing investigation. For now, that's all I have live in Hialeah. Yvette Lewis, NBC6 News.
You are subject to arrest. Now leave it.
You're watching cell phone video provided by the Florida Alliance of Planned Parenthood affiliates showing the arrest of Florida Democrat Party Chair Nikki Fried and Senate Minority Leader Lauren Book in Tallahassee. Police say officers, they've been assisting protesters as they demonstrated all week in front of City Hall. But due to the size of the crowd, organizers were told they were only able to protest during normal operating hours. Now, Fried and Book were among 11 people arrested for trespassing. Florida Planned Parenthood Action says that they have been released and are waiting for 9 more protesters to also be released. That protest came after the Florida Senate passed a bill banning abortion after 6 weeks. Protests before Monday's vote at the Capitol led to everyone being escorted out of the gallery. The bill does provide an exception to save a woman's life. There are also exceptions up to 15 weeks for a pregnancy caused by rape or incest, provided the woman provides documentation such as a medical record or police report. A similar bill in the Florida House is ready to be heard by the full chamber. Moving to the 6-week limit would hinge the Florida Supreme Court upholding the current 15-week abortion ban passed last year. It's not clear when that court will rule.
In less than 3 months, Floridians will be able to carry concealed guns, concealed weapons, without having a permit.
Yeah, that's after Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill into law that allows anyone who can legally own a gun in Florida to also be able to carry one without a permit.
So a big development here. NBC6's Julie Bagg is live this morning with more on what that means. And this doesn't happen yet, Julie. We have to wait a few more months. When is it set to go into effect?
Yeah, that'll be July 1st, Chris. So supporters of this new law say it'll make Floridians safer, but critics worry that the removal of certain background checks and training will lead to more gun violence.
What do we want? Gun control! When do we want it?
Exactly 1 week after 3 9-year-old students and 3 adults were gunned down at a private Christian school in Nashville, thousands marched to the Tennessee state capitol to demand action against gun violence, including Manuel Oliver, who lost his son Joaquin in the Parkland shooting.
I'm asking students from all levels of education to stay home until their safety is part of the norm.
On the same day in Tallahassee, Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law the permitless carry bill. It will allow Floridians to carry a concealed gun in public without a permit or the firearms training that was required with it.
The timing that DeSantis is choosing to do this, it makes it even evil. Like the whole country is talking about the shooting in Nashville.
Supporters of the new law argue it will make Floridians safer.
What this bill does is remove the need for that government permit, that permission slip to carry a concealed weapon.
For the most part, I think it's good so that now that people that want the ability to protect themselves have the ability to.
But opponents worry it'll have the opposite effect.
These laws are not going to make us safer. The fact is that when more people carry guns in public, violent crime gets worse.
Even when the law takes effect, a background check and 3-day waiting period will still be required to purchase a gun from a licensed dealer. However, background checks are not required for private transactions or exchanges of weapons.
Now, the new law applies to concealed carry weapons. Open carry of guns is still prohibited under state law. Reporting live in Miami, Julia Bagg, NBC 6 News.
And the governor's highly controversial approval over the new gun law was quick to build up steam online. This morning, we're showing you what some officials are saying about the consequences this new legislation might have on a national as well as local scale. Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, you can see right here, shares in a tweet expressing her concern over the safety of the county. She says most gun owners support policies meant to protect, not threaten our safety. Permits, she adds, also protect officers who risk their lives for their communities. And on that same note, let's take a look at Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz also voicing her opinion here on Twitter and saying in part that there's been more mass shootings than days in 2023, adding that our communities need a common sense gun safety reforms instead of giving untrained gun owners easier access to weapons.
Governor Ron DeSantis putting Walt Disney World under the microscope yet again, ordering an investigation now into recent actions in relation to the special planning district. Governor DeSantis is also probing into a February declaration approved by that board that oversaw the Reedy Creek Improvement District. That declaration appears to give Walt Disney World direct corporate power to plan and develop that area. Governor DeSantis further calling for an investigation into the qualifications of that board's leadership and new communications between Disney and the board.
Ian is now the costliest hurricane in Florida history. We are breaking down the new report just released.